Okay, we are back again with another story time, since y'all seem to like that. This one's going to be on the Axeman of New Orleans. This happened back in 1918 when the first murders started, and it went on, they said, for 18 months with 12 attacks and 6 deaths. The first one was on May 23rd, 1918. A man and his wife was found bludgeoned to death in the bedroom of their house. The bodies were found by the brother of the man who lived in the same house. I don't know how you could sleep through two people getting bludgeoned to death, but it seemed the police didn't think he was a suspect. Then June 28th was the second attacks. Uh, this one was found by the baker. Now you got to remember, back in those days, the bakery used to have their clients, and they'd go to their house after the bread was baked, or things was made in the morning, and deliver the bread straight to the houses. Um, Two was attacked, one died, the husband died, and the one person lived. I think it was the wife. The wife lived, but they found a bloody axe at the scene. And as they started with the murders and stuff, it seemed like whoever was doing it was using items from the house to kill the people, mostly axes taken out of their shed. Uh, Back in that day, electricity still wasn't too prevalent in the city. And during the wintertime, they used to chop wood and put it in their fireplaces. And it's strange when you come to New Orleans, and even if you live here, you walk into a house and there's a fireplace, and it's not used that much because the majority of the time is sweltering heat outside. But the wintertime does get kind of cold, so they warm the house with fireplaces. Uh, but they found an axe at the scene, with no suspects, no witnesses, or anything like that. On August 5th, the third attack, uh, two people was attacked. One died, one lived. Husband died by having his head almost completely cut off, and the wife was attacked, but she lived. And then miraculously, she was pregnant. 2 months later, she gave birth to a son that was very healthy. So I mean, that woman should get Mother of the Century after doing that. Once again, no suspects. Um, August 10th, there was two people in the house, the husband and the wife. The wife wasn't in the bedroom. She was on the other side of the house. She heard a commotion, and she went to the bedroom and only saw a man walking through the dark hall that was tall, dressed completely in black with a black slouch hat, like a big fedora. She looked into the bedroom. Her husband didn't make it. He was bludgeoned to death. Uh, I don't think they found a weapon at the scene either. August 19th, an armed man, the men of New Orleans began to take up arms to protect their family and stuff, and more police was put on the street. So people was protecting their own homes. Uh, and the police was doing everything they could. I mean, they had no suspects, no nothing. Not, just the description of a tall man dressed in black with a big slouch hat on. March 10th, I think there was 3 murders. Uh, 2 died. The mother and the husband died, but the young daughter that was on the separate side of the house, she wasn't attacked and she lived. She didn't see or hear anything. Uh, August 10th again. Nope, take that back. Uh, that was August 10th, 1918. And then after the March 10th murder, a letter was sent to the Times-Picayune. I'm going to read off what the letter said. Uh, it was March 13th, 1919. Uh, I am not mortal. You'll never catch me. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a fallen demon from hell. I am I am what you Orleanians call the Axeman. To try to catch me is stupid. It will amuse not only me but the satanic master. Don't try to discover what I am, and to say the least of that, he could slay thousands of people because I am in close relationship with the angel of death. Then he said, then he gave this, and this is the weird part. Well, there's two weird parts. Then it said that at 12:15 earthly time on Tuesday night, I am going to pass over the city of New Orleans, and in my mercy, whoever is playing jazz music will be spared. And then there was, after that, a jazz song was written, Don't Scare Me, Papa, and you can still hear it by the jazz bands playing it when you're on Bourbon Street in the French Quarter. Now, two weird things is one, hell. The letter started hell. And if you remember, when Jack the Ripper was killing the prostitutes in the Whitechapel district of London, there was a letter sent either to the newspaper or to the man that was in charge of the men that was trying to protect the Whitechapel area from the murders. It started out from hell, and it had a manifesto, a rambling of what the Ripper was saying, and come to find out, I think years, a long time after that, that letter was found out to be fake, written by one of the reporters from one of the newspapers in London. As far as this, I don't know if anybody ever tried to track it down. The second weird thing is when he flies over the city. And that was back in 1919. There wasn't any drones. The airplanes was just barely making it from point A to point B. They definitely didn't fly at night when he was doing it. And the way he explained himself of not being human, being a fallen demon, and to try to catch him would amuse him and the satanic master. Now you can put that any spin you want to put on that. I guess. Well, when that came out and they released the letter with what was said, everybody thought, it was an evil spirit that was doing that. The police, more or less, publicly decided, it's a man doing this. Even today, you won't find a police department that'll admit to anything like that. That's bad publicity. So it it adds up to a lot of things what people seen in this city through the years of flying humanoids, I guess you could say, or flying humans. The story about the three ladies I think I regaled y'all on that was out for the night and seen a figure standing at the very tall steeple of the church, thought it was a suicide, jumped out and flew away. The other story of the young lady who was on Frenchman Avenue with a friend, enjoying the jazz clubs, went outside to smoke a cigarette, started to walk back in, and all of a sudden behind her heard footsteps of the old shoes with the wooden heels. And she turned around, there was a man standing right in front of her dressed in like a Victorian outfit. And she said that she felt mesmerized. And when he went down, she thought to kiss her neck. I guess his fangs scratched her and she snapped out of it, screamed, started running, turned around. He was gone, but the walking cane he had was still leaning against a wall. I can't verify that one. I'm sure it's in a record somewhere if they called the police. So the only thing that sticks out in this is you got to kind of play off the hell thing because of the Jack the Ripper from hell. But it's strange to be said that when I fly over the city and in my mercy, I'll spare any home that is playing jazz music. And that always kind of complexed me of fly over the city. That kind of term wouldn't have been used in 1919, you know, not even off the cuff would be used, but still in all. Like I said, you can still, they wrote a song about it, a jazz piece called Don't Scare Me Daddy. And like I said, you can still hear it being played in jazz clubs and all that in the French Quarter and on Bourbon Street. And August 10th, 1919 was another attack, and the person lived. Didn't see anything. Uh, he had head injury so bad for the rest of his life he couldn't remember his own name. And I think he spent the rest of his life in a mental hospital, not because he was crazy, because he just couldn't remember anything anymore. And I think the last murder took place on September 10th, 1919. Uh, there was one attack, and one lived. Oh no, and then it went on to October 27th. That was the last murder. The last attack, two attacked, one died, and the wife wasn't attacked. And she wasn't in the bedroom. But they found out that the murders took place from items taken from the people's shed. It wasn't like the guy was, toting an axe with him. And if you remember, if y'all watched the American Horror Story, The Coven, they had a character that was based on the Axeman. And in that TV show, he was immortal. Don't know how old he was. I guess you'd have to go back to when the murder started in 1918. But they had a depiction of him in the show. And, they tied a lot of things together in American Horror Story, The Coven. If y'all hadn't seen it, it's pretty good. It is. They kept close, uh, let's say, voodoo time frames and stuff, New Orleans voodoo time frames, because now in Louisiana, when film crews come in to to film movies, New Orleans is like third in the United States now to be filmed in. They came up with two rules for them, and they have to follow them. One, they can't pick the police as fat belly, good old boy sheriffs with the mirror sunglasses with the mirror on the inside, and they can't depict voodoo uh, just off the wall. And they're all policemen from the state police and stuff like that. If they're doing a movie inside New Orleans and the story centers around the New Orleans Police Department about something, there's off-duty detectives and stuff who will correct them if they try to do something stupid, because the law enforcement of Louisiana got tired after a while being depicted as, good old boys. And the voodoo community got tired of being depicted completely in the wrong way. And so on American Horror Story, The Coven, there was two or three mambos that they hired. And they was technical advisors. So they still had a New Orleans, New Orleans flavor to it, but Hollywood wasn't allowed to run rampant. The only thing Hollywood did win in that argument was the depiction of Papa Legba. Basically, that was probably Baron Samedi that they was depicting. But for some reason, the director, the writer, wanted to be Papa Legba. If you ever seen it, like I said, you need to see it. He would snort coke and take people's souls and stuff like that. And they tried to tell him that's not Papa Legba. They explained Papa Legba in New Orleans voodoo tongue. But the film crews won out on that one. So when you watch it for the first time, or if you watched it, that's not who Papa Legba is in New Orleans voodoo. That's more Baron Samedi in New Orleans voodoo. So they have to follow by those rules now. And like I said, at any given time in a year, I think New Orleans is pumping out 3 or 4 major motion pictures from inside the city, because you can be out and wandering around the French Quarter and go down Burton Street, turn down a side street, and they got it blocked off. They got the big lights pointing into the building. They got the police not letting nobody in. So New Orleans is doing pretty good with movies. But like I said, they had to follow those 2 rules because there's a story that Paul Newman did a movie called Kingfish about Governor Huey P. Long. And he was on set one day, and during the movie, his security was state troopers, dressed in the state troopers uniforms of the 50s, brown and all that. And one day they was getting ready for a shoot, and Paul Newman said he was sitting in his chair going over the script, and 4 state police units pulled up. The same guys got out the car, went to their trunk, pulled their costumes out, their time period uniforms, and went and get dressed and came back with the state police uniforms, put them in the trunk. Paul Newman didn't realize that was real state troopers that was playing the part. That's how tight it got after a while. I think what broke the back of the state police and all the police in Louisiana was James Bond flick, Live and Let Die, with the old Southern sheriff, J.W. Pepper, I think that was his name, J.W. Pepper. And that's how they always depicted the police. And they got tired of it and said, that's not going to happen no more. And from then, they got to have technical advisors. The same thing with Voodoo. Hollywood was getting out of hand, depicting not only Voodoo as a religion, but it got stranger and weirder when it got here in New Orleans for some reason. And they took a lot of liberties and just made it, set the Voodoo community back probably about 100, 150 years from what people thought what was going on. And like I said, they had 3 Mambos that was technical advisors on the movie, or on the TV show, whatever it was, this miniseries, The Coven, and they lost out the battle for the portrayal of Papa Legba. The people from Hollywood, the director, the producer, the writers sat down with them and listened to their argument and stuff, and they got outvoted, and lo and behold, what you see in the series is Papa Legba, which mostly is depicted, I would say, Baron Samedi, or one of the barons, not Papa Legba. And like I said, it's a pretty good series. If you've never seen it, watch it. And if you have, it was pretty good. Even today, there's people say that Marie Laveau is still alive. She learned the secret of leapfrogging through the centuries. Don't know. I've heard of it. I've heard people talk about it. Never witnessed it. Never met anybody. That even in whisper would say that was Marie Laveau. This confusion of her tomb in St. Louis Cemetery, is that really her in there or one of her daughters? Because she had a daughter that almost looked just like her. So nobody knows about that. But that's the story, that she still is around as a physical person. So once again, it goes back to the old story of Papa Justify and his wife finding the secret. There was hoodoo practitioners, and one of my subscribers commented about it. They found, Papa Justify and them, and the story was he found the incantation of leapfrogging through centuries. So back to what's in point with the Axeman. They started to have some weird things pop up after the investigation. That one of the people that was killed, I think it was Mike Peppertone, was murdered. And for some reason, the police tried to link it back to a mafia killing, because Mike Peppertone had shot and killed a mob person trying to rob his store or something about 2 years before that. and it was justified. I mean, the mob guy tried to kill him, and he was a better shot. So they tried to link that together. With that, then they started to think, as in any serial killing, any police department got to start watching everything closely after, because copycats will come in and start murdering. And if they can copy that murder close enough, they'll tag it on the person who gets caught, you know. And you catch a person, say there was 15 murders, and the person you caught confesses to 12 and swears up and down he don't know about the rest, or she don't know about the rest. So they need to watch that carefully, and they do. They'll give out false information to the press about maybe how the murder took place or something, not in graphic details, but in terms where it wouldn't be that graphic. And it's all fake. It's false. The real killer knows that didn't happen, but the people that's coming and confessing to it will say that, and then they know that's bullshit. You know, that's not how it happened. They did the same thing on the movie Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott. They had a serial killer that left his mark on the inside of the person's palm, and people would come in and confess, say, I left my mark on his back, on their back. It was on their palm, so they knew bullshit, get them out of here. But like I said, you got to take it with a grain of salt, and the only thing you're going to find out about this is the police report is there. I mean, but there was nobody ever arrested for it. And like I said, the weird thing is the letter that said hell on it. But like I said, you got to take that with a grain of salt because of Jack the Ripper's killings. And that letter was sent, like I said, either to one of the newspapers in London or to that guy that was in charge of the protection group that got together. It said started out from hell. But the thing that always caught me was when I would pass over the city on that certain night. It's not like saying that today. I'm gonna pass over the city. Shit, you can be sitting someplace in the car with your drone. Okay, they got helicopter charter companies that charter flights at night to take tourists up at night so they can see the lights of New Orleans, lights on the rivers, the cruise boats, and paddle wheels. So y'all go ahead and put in the comment what y'all think about that statement. And like I said, it always confused me about that. That was the only thing that was really like, weird when you read it. But calling himself a fallen demon, he's not a human being. Not because he didn't get caught, because there were fingerprints, but back in 1918, 1919, the only way you could arrest somebody on their fingerprints is to actually have the fingerprints from the scene and take the person's fingerprint and then compare them like that. It ain't like today. So y'all just leave a comment of what y'all think about it. And my next video will be touching on some things about Baron Samedi, and probably pop a leg button to clarify what I said about the coven. It's to clarify as much as I know about them and New Orleans voodoo. And there was two separate entities, and Hollywood portrayed one, and the voodoo community here in New Orleans knew that wasn't Papa Legbot. They was portraying, trying to portray. So as always, like, share, and subscribe.